Hi, it's Dr. Garth Fisher on The Cutting Edge. And today on The Cutting Edge, we explore the science and soul of peak performance. Our guest, Florence St Cricq, has dedicated over 30 years to unlocking the mysteries of the human brain and human behavior. She is a peak performance expert and a neuro training coach who blends cognitive neuroscience, neurolinguistics, trauma release, sophrology, hypnotherapy, quantum physics, bioenergy, and neurophysiopsychology, a rare combination, a lot of big words, that bridge science and healing. She has consulted and worked closely with professional sport team players, such as the Vanouver Canucks, Los Angeles Lakers, Los Angeles Clippers, North Carolina Hornets, Golden State Warriors, Seattle Seahawks, and numerous others. Before that, Florence launched her career in Paris as director of communications for a haute couture house and later as an image consultant, pioneering new concepts in the world of personal transformation. Today, she works with both individuals and corporations worldwide, helping them release unresolved emotional blocks, align body, mind, soul, and step into their highest potential. Her passion is simple but profound: to evenly allow access to mental health, to simplify the brain for all of us, and to show that thriving can be not only possible but enjoyable. Please welcome extraordinary Florence. Nice to have you here on the show.
Thank you, Garth, for that introduction, and thank you for having me on your show.
It's so good to have you here. And just to tell the listeners that are driving, if you do miss out on the entire show, you can go to my Instagram at Garth Fisher MD, Cutting Edge, Garth Fisher MD, Cutting Edge, and you can follow the whole show. But let's get into the questions. It's nice to have you, and I'd like to talk more about where you started. You started in Paris, director of communications at the Haute Couture House, and you used socio-psychology in marketing, which sounds really powerful. How did the early work with image and influence set the stage for the neuroscience work that you do today? And I'd like to know how successful that socio-psychology was in your marketing.
Okay. Well, after I studied here in the U.S. at UCLA and Pepperdine, I wanted to also study in Europe and in Switzerland. So I got this job offer, and I studied sociopsychology, psychology, all these things, and I decided. So I took the job so I could learn more, and that's where I learned sophrology, and also homeopathy and naturopathy. Sophrology is very specific to Europe. And so it was very, very interesting. And also that first job, we were dealing with, there were only 11 haute couture fashion houses at that time. So it's pretty unique. There's a lot of people that would like to work in it, but few, And so actually everything happens for a reason. I think that's how I begin the journey also of working a lot with people who have jobs that are kind of outside the box or high pressure or really just like Hollywood, right? So many actors, few make it, a lot make it, but few make it. So that was interesting, but especially what I was interested in is to observe how people would react under tremendous pressure. A lot of, people really look, right? So it's about being in the eye, which often becomes the eye of the storm in certain situations.
And in almost every career, you're in the eye of the storm at some point, even at home.
Yeah. Exactly. And it was interesting also, so for human behavior. So that was incredible research, but also a way to start helping. And that's how I became a 911 and crisis management expert at that time, or at least I was working towards it because I was just beginning. But I realized that very quickly people needed something to help them with a panic attack, anxiety, or fear, or imposter syndrome,
And this was in Europe. This is starting out in Europe.
Yes. So, but I took that job so I could study more, in Europe, different things that are not offered in the U.S. So, it was a great journey, and I learned a lot. So that's how it began.
So how long did you work in that house of couture?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years. And also what it taught me is how to really zoom in on what's important, to develop image, branding, marketing. And that's when quantum linguistics came in, neurolinguistics. And I'm so lucky because I have an amazing mentor. She started mentoring me when I was so young, 8, 10 years old. Her name is Anne Chapuis. She is a psychologist, a psychiatrist, and she went into neuroscience. So that's how I followed in her steps. She really groomed me, and I'm very thankful and grateful for her.
Okay.
Using human behavior and what I knew and applying it in marketing, branding, and I understood the power of words.
Yeah, that sounds like it's a really great advantage in marketing if you can get into the brain of the person that's looking for your product. And you were an image consultant at that time?
Yes,
So,
well, actually, for Haute, I was really in charge of promoting Haute, marketing, branding, image consulting, PR, worldwide. So it was absolutely phenomenal, and the people I met were incredible. But that's when also you learn how to be very organized. And when you work at that level, you can't make a mistake.
well, these are things that I think are really important no matter what you do. Even starting in school, you want to make 100 on a test. You want to do everything perfectly. And it just carries on those rituals, traditions, or, things that are very important as how you live your life, how you do your work. And you just carry it on in everything you do as you get older, whether it's parenting or your career or whatever.
And we live and learn.
Yeah, you live and learn.
We live and learn.
Hopefully
Well,
you live and
yes,
learn.
I mean, that's the whole point, is to learn from the lessons learned, right?
That's right. So, what pushed you from these external, transformations and trying to develop the internal transformation for humans, people?
It has always been my goal.
Yeah, always.
Been my goal. There are 3 things that shaped what I wanted to do. The first one was my dad passing away when I was 12, within an instant.
And you kind of predicted that or felt that when it
I
happened. That was
sensed,
a,
yeah,
yeah.
I sensed it. He passed away on June 12th, 1978. On June 11th, 1977, I had a dream. And it took me years to realize that, but I had a dream that my dog was falling into the empty pool, and that she was, and she died. And actually, she broke her back, her pelvis. Okay. Then a year later, June 11th, 1977, I dreamed that my dad hurts his back, and the next day he's gone. Now, what happened at that time is when my mom told me he had passed away, I fell to the ground and I couldn't move anymore. And then something happened. I have no idea where it came from. Really, I don't know if it's faith or what it is, but I got up and I said, I'm going to make, my dad's death my strength, never my weakness. And that's when I decided to do what I'm doing today.
Okay. Well, you're certainly very effective at it, and some people have said you're clairvoyant. And I've had some incidences in my own life where things have happened like that. That's really odd and powerful, and can't be explained.
And on that subject, Garth, what I believe is that when we're tuned in to ourselves, we're very tuned in to the world, and also our intuition. Our intuition, our unconscious mind basically stores every fraction of a second of our life in chronological order. So 95% of our brain, but we only retain 5%, we're aware, right? 5% we're aware, 95% unaware, and our unconscious mind, basically drives everything. And so, oops. I'm losing my train of thought. Hold on.
It's okay. This is The Cutting Edge with Dr. Garth Fisher. I'm here with Florence St Cricq, and she's a peak performance and neuroscience expert. And we're just going through really the way you started. And you moved to the United States as a teenager. And
that
was
also shaped me.
A cultural shift. How did that
so huge.
From France, right? You went from France.
Very huge. First of all, my parents had their green card. They were living in the U.S. My dad went to Harvard Law School. He graduated in 1963. My mom was a trilingual interpreter at the UN in New York. And so my parents had moved to the States. And then my dad's adopted dad had a heart attack, so they went back to France. And my mom never liked it there. They never wanted to go back, but they had to out of duty, family duty. And so when my dad passed away, my mom said, we're going. And coming here is, I love this country. Coming from the old world, plus I was born in 1966, right after World War II. And the mentality and the mindset in Europe and in France in particular, is very particular. And with the war, a lot of, I find it, I find it constricted. Everybody's always looking at what you're doing, kind of judgmental. I love France and I love French people, but or for instance on the concept of work, it's I come here and it's like work is wonderful. You enjoy work, you love work, right? Whereas you're in Europe, always you either on strike or you,
really?
or you take vacation, because it's the mindset and the mentality, but also it's about a very, very open-minded state here in this country. And I realized how important culture, beliefs, and what I learned here, like for instance, my stepdad, the first thing he said to me was, when I would get upset, he would say, consider the source. Just that, a very typical American sentence, consider, meaning you're getting upset. Why don't you also consider who is saying that with you and try to understand, and look at
And
that.
there's different motivations. If you can see through to that, it really kind of
Yes.
lets all that just fade away.
So the US also made me extremely practical. And the language in itself, English is to the point, French, Italian, all these Latin languages, they go up and down and you say so many words to basically mean something. Whereas in English, you can just, really get to the point. Love this country.
Well, it loves you too. We won't talk about all your skiing in the French Alps. I know.
But that shaped me in the sense that it made me understand something very important, which is I used to ski jump or go down really fast to beat speed records. And for that, I realized that you need to remove fear, hesitation, and doubt. And I understood at that time that then you've got to completely let go and have faith. Because when we don't, those doubts, hesitation, and fears, they are actually in the way. And when you're jumping or going down or whatever you do that, might be very dangerous or is dangerous, you really want to just do it with pure faith and belief. Because whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right.
Well, it's great that you've had this background. Plus, you are a high-performance athlete yourself, and no wonder you're giving a lot of advice to a lot of professional athletes and CEOs, and I know billionaires. I personally know them that you work with, and so trying to get them to peak performance. You spent 30 years now studying human behavior, combining neuroscience, neurolinguistics, trauma release, hypnotherapy, and even quantum physics. How do you explain your approach in a way that anyone can understand?
Of course. So first of all, I was very interested all the time. For me, it's everything. It's or the way I see life, or it's basically regrouping multitude points of information. So then you can create, your own sauce, right? It's like, you learn all these things. And with the brain, the mind, the body, mind, soul, right? There are so many different possibilities. So I learned a lot of different subjects, and then I realized with each of them that they complete the other, right? So, for instance, quantum physics. Quantum physics is the infinite small, right? And quantum physics is basically, the law of attraction and relativity. So it's very important in order to explain why it is so important to focus on what you want, because whatever you focus on is what you will attract. Okay. For instance, Ericksonian hypnotherapy. Why? Because it has the ability to, at the unconscious level, help release and heal at the unconscious level, because all the issues that we have stem from the unconscious
level,
mind. Exactly.
which we're not really aware of.
We're unaware what that, right?
It's just happening automatically, and we're not aware.
Because unconscious does mean unaware.
Right.
Right? And so what's important, and speaking about this, what is the first most important thing when we want to transform, when we want to feel better? The first thing is to become aware of what's going on. So the first thing you do is for our inner talk. So important, because our words and our thoughts create our reality. So I always ask my clients, I say, please just become aware of your inner talk. How do you speak to yourself? What is your perception of yourself? What is your perception of the world? Because perception is projection. So however we perceive something is basically what we're gonna get, right?
That's how you're seeing it.
Yes, but perception, because the way basically we experience the world, it's very simple, very, very simplified, but I like simplicity. So every second we're bombarded through our 5 senses by 22 billion bits of information.
Right.
Now, every second, our mind can only retain out of the 22 billion, only 127 bits. So we delete, we distort, we generalize, or we accept the information. Now, the 127 bits out of the 22 billion every second, it depends, what you're going to retain depends on where your focus is. Because focus means it's on your unconscious mind's radar. For instance, you want to buy a car, all you see is that car, because all of a sudden you're focused on it.
Right.
I mean, that, so, and that's, by the way, how we can be in charge of our results, is by choosing what we focus on. Yeah. Right. And you do that, and it will be on the radar. That's why you and I, we can be listening to the same speaker, but depending where our focus is, we're definitely going to have a different experience and retain different type of information. So you have that. And then there are so many different things. So for me, the body, mind, and soul, and I know you, it needs to be aligned, right? But at the same time, all those different facets of the brain and techniques, that's how I developed the method. So just accumulating knowledge and then realizing how they all fit into a puzzle.
Well, we're gonna go through your methods, or at least I want people to understand how they can, you could do Zoom online calls with them, and I'm interested in how you take these athletes and you get them to peak performance, as I saw in the hockey league, the Canucks, when they were performing so well. But just getting back to one thing about the unconscious mind. When I think of the unconscious mind, I mean, in simplicity forms, and tell me if this is right or wrong, I may drive home from work and I don't even remember the drive, but somebody's driving that car. Somebody's stopping at lights, making sure there's no people walking by. And then I get home and I was like, I couldn't tell you what street, I don't remember the yellow car in front of me. Is that the unconscious mind that's leading me there?
Yes. So these are unconscious patterns and habits also, because this is where we develop unconscious patterns.
And some we need to break.
And habits. Yes. Yes, you can, everything stems from the unconscious mind anyway. Even your health, everything.
So sophrology and neurophysiopsychology. These are not terms that a lot of listeners know. What is the unconscious mind trying to tell us about? Through the body. What's that mean?
Okay, so first of all, sophrology. A neuropsychiatrist developed sophrology. It's incredible. It's a mix of cognitive behavior therapy mixed with movement, mixed with a lot of different things. It's a technique, and I use that a lot with pro athletes. Because within minutes, you can diminish stress. For instance, all you got to do is you place your feet flat on the ground, you stand up or you sit down, and let's say you're super stressed, and what you're going to do is just you're going to breathe out, breathe in, and then hold, and you go, I release my stress, I release my stress, I release my stress, and then you exhale, right? And you do it 3 times, and immediately it has an effect. So that's what we're looking. And so sophrology, neurophysiopsychology, it doesn't exist yet.
Okay.
I've been lucky enough to have mentors who gave me years of research that then, and basically neurophysiopsychology, it's the unconscious mind's messages through the body, through illnesses, injuries, conditions. And it's fascinating. And I've been using it for 30 years in my practice. And you know how every single time when someone shares with me, you know, what's happened to them physically,
A pain or injury in the past.
whatever, I know what they're running emotionally and psychologically. Now I can say that and really own it, because it's been 30 years of every single time it's right on point. It's also, can you imagine how helpful it is when you're dealing with children who cannot speak, depending on if where they injure themselves or what type of chronic things they have, or you know, then you can understand also what's going on with the child, and without being able to speak. Or it's something that immediately within a few minutes will let you know what's going on. Let me give you an example. Yes.
Okay.
So I have this athlete that comes, and I was taking care of you know, looking at, you know, who would be a good part for a hockey team I was working with. And this kid comes in, and I see on his left calf, he's got this cast. And I say, "Oh, what happened to you?" And he says, "Oh, you know, I was playing, and then one of my teammates, you know, skated over me, and he tore my my Achilles tendon at 90%." And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, so what is it that, you know, you're torn about at 90% within?" And it's the left leg. I mean, it's on the left. So what is going on with your family or with men in your life that is making you feel so torn inside? He looks at me and he says, "How did you know?" I said, just the signs. He says, "My grandfather is dying, and my dad told me that if I went to say goodbye to my grandfather, he would never speak to me again and disown me." So, and I can give you hundreds, thousands of examples like that. So immediately I will know what's going on so I can help. And that saves a lot of time, because for me, it's about doing it efficiently, fast, you know, effortlessly.
Yeah, you have to. It's a lot better for the client that way too. You talk about 3 bodies: body, mind, and soul. What happens when they're malaligned, and how do you bring them back together?
So it's very important, because first of all, something also is I realize everything is interconnected. Our mind affects our body affects our mind, and both affect our spirit. Spirit is our energy, right? Because also when I talk about the soul, there is, if I go a little bit further, there is something that I kind of like, that I learned that I think is interesting. Not everybody has to adhere to that, but the soul is basically the envelope, and the spirit is your pure energy. It's your higher self, right? And it's right in there. And so whatever is, when the mind suffers, then the body suffers. And by the way, all the chronic diseases, even injuries, all of that, it comes from the unconscious mind. It's your unconscious mind warning you, sending you taps, right? And there are 3 taps only with the unconscious mind. So for instance, the first tap, it's good, or you know, it's we stop, we begin feeling, you know, having trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, we're kind of nervous, or there's a little bit of anxiety, you know, just okay, no big deal. We push
First
it.
tap.
First tap, yeah, but it's very, you know, and all of us, you know, it's like, unless you know that this is the moment where you need
Right.
to really listen,
Right.
we push it back down.
Right.
Now, once we push something down like this, then the energy multiplies by 20, 30, you know, push something back down, it comes back with a vengeance. Anyway, so then the second tap is going to be depending on what's going on, but the second tap is, you know, more anxiety, waking up, sweats, whatever it's like, it's more, it's developed, right? We push it back down, And then the third tap is going to be, massive panic
Crisis.
attacks, crisis. And this is what we see with heart issues. Like the heart attack is really going to be the last tap.
Tapped out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Play on the
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
And so I think neurophysiopsychology is going to help in the future. And I want to start teaching it, and sharing and really training people, because I've had that opportunity to be given the knowledge and then to basically research it and work with it for over 30 years. And the results are incredible. And it allows us to very quickly understand specifically and accurately what's going on, psychologically, emotionally.
Okay. You've got a fantastic website name. Now, tell us the name of the website they can find you.
So it's called Revolution.
Revolution.
It's about
R-E-V, R-E-V-E-L.
REVOL, Revol.
Revel dash U, Y-O-U
Yeah.
dash
Shun.
ton, T-I-O-N. Yeah.
Because it's about revolutionizing your world.
Yeah.
It's about understanding also that you can. And there's something I just want to interject, because there's something that I'm fascinated about right now. And I love when I go, it's called quantum leap.
Okay.
This is this new, so a quantum leap. So a lot of times, all of a sudden we don't, sometimes through life, 4 or 5 times when we go through a transformation, but we don't know it's a transformation, all of a sudden we tend to withdraw a little bit. The things that we used to take pleasure in no longer are pleasurable. We don't like the same thing, or and we withdraw. And a lot of times we think something is wrong with me. Am I depressed, right? Well, actually, no, because even physically you're going to be tired because you're recharging. And that means you're in a quantum leap, which means it's a very fast transformation.
You've created a fast and efficient method to help people thrive. And what makes it different from traditional therapy or coaching approaches?
Of course. So first of all, the method is 3 steps. And when I say method, it's extremely methodical.
Okay.
So the first step is to release anger, fear, sadness, guilt, limiting decisions, limiting beliefs, trauma. Okay. And then we pour a new foundation free of the deep unresolved emotional issues, right? And once we pour a new foundation, we start building within. And then on the foundation, we build all the way to peak performance, peak well-being, peak empowerment, which is to know who you are, accept who you are, and own it. And when we do it like this, then, having released everything that is in the way, that is blocking us, that is creating fear, hesitation, and doubt, which, because really in our lives, it's depending on what our unconscious mind has understood, how we were raised, or the type of messages we got. For instance, someone that was not listened to or heard in his family, he's going to have a hard time, or she, speaking out. You see all these things that are backed up at the... So, and then also I realized how everybody is always telling you what to do, right? Which is great. It's like,
They're telling you what to do, or telling somebody else?
like telling us how to feel better. Like, for instance, you got to be positive. Okay, great. But let me just say that being positive every day, it's hard to do. However, basically, when I saw that, I thought, okay, so this is what we're told. And it's true. That's how we will feel better. But nobody's showing us how. So then, how can we sustain being positive every day without transforming, releasing at the unconscious level? I mean, for me, it just makes sense, right? Unless you can release and feel better, there is no way that you can really evolve, because you're stuck. And unconscious means that you are unaware of it. So unless somebody helps you, to understand that. So basically, I think that coming up with exercises and release techniques, and saying, okay, so this is difficult because when you say be positive every day and somebody tries and they can't, but that makes sense, then they feel like like they're not capable. It actually makes them feel like they fail. So at the unconscious level, immediately that's going to be taken, and depending on what's at the unconscious level, your issues, it can be blown up into something really huge that you don't need. You see. So all of this. So for me, it was okay. How about helping people with these things that are completely like, all the quotes and all that make sense? And yes, that's how we feel better, but literally showing them every step of the way. And that's why I studied all these techniques.
Right.
So,
And how do you do Zoom consultations with people? How do people reach you through that, or how does that work?
sure. So, people can go on my website. What we offer, what I offer is individual
Revolution.
Revolution.
Yeah, with hyphens.
With hyphens.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it's going to revolutionize your world because it revolutionizes also a lot of concepts and ideas, right? But that's the beauty. It's where I believe in our field, just like what's the word I'm looking for? We're pioneers, right? We're leading the way, so we try things, and that's what's wonderful about science as well.
Yeah, it evolves. You work with both individuals, athletes, corporations. What are the similarities and differences between helping a CEO versus somebody with unresolved trauma versus an athlete who's just trying to have better, average
Honestly,
with the shots?
same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing, and even with just anyone, right? It's always the same thing. It's what's at the unconscious level and what's in the way. It's about releasing, and then it's about pouring a new foundation, building to peak everything. And the reason why I work like that to finish answering the previous question, is because for me, when I believe, and this is what I've noticed how the brain functions, you want whatever you focus on is what you're gonna get. So
Right.
when people come in, that's why I say it's fun, because it just means that you need to release, but the goal is to reach peak everything. So already the way when you start working on yourself, that the goal is for you to be at peak performance, peak abundance, peak well-being. So releasing becomes a lot easier because then there are two other steps that you're focused on. Does that
Right.
make sense?
No, it makes sense. You have to focus and think on
Higher
what you
purpose.
want. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You are what you eat, and you do what you're thinking. I guess
Yes.
that's how you're
Yes.
behaving.
And also something fascinating is that always dream big.
Yeah,
Dare to dream
of
and
course.
dream big, because our mind never makes the difference between what's real and what's imaginary. Now that's the kicker. I love this one.
Yeah.
And so whatever you
That's a
can
good one.
visualize, yes, whatever you can visualize, you can materialize. So dream big. But you see a lot of times, a lot of people keep themselves from dreaming big because, stop your dreams. You dream into
That's so unfortunate. That's unfair for somebody to think like that, because I mean, for myself, I know I dreamed bigger. What happened to me was bigger than what I dreamed, and anybody can accomplish anything if they really work, put their mind to it. And a little luck always is helpful. But can you share a powerful example where unresolved emotional issues were holding somebody back, and what changed when they worked through it with
yes.
you? Could you
I'm
give us a couple examples?
going to give you one example.
Okay.
It's a young woman who every time that she saw a cat, she would go into cardiac arrest.
Are you serious?
Yes. And so, looked at it and realized that when she was 3 years old, she something happened. So her kitty gave birth to 3 kittens, and the first one the next day she found dead in the fridge. Then the second, on the way to go into the car with her dad, was drowned in the pool. And then she saw her dad back up his car and literally kill the third one.
These are 3 kittens?
3 kittens. And this is a 3-year-old. So she's walking, to go. Anyway, years later, so that's why, because at that time, her unconscious mind made the link, cat equals death.
Right.
And once something is like this, these are situations where you do want to get in there.
Right.
And now she's fine.
Why was a cat in the refrigerator?
Oh, little kitties. I don't know. They happen. I remember with my grandma, we always had kitties, and I don't know. I have no idea where they went in, but yeah.
Well, if something's in my refrigerator, I plan on eating it. It'd never be a dog or a cat. I don't know. That's wild and crazy. So,
But you see how that, and of course she forgot.
yeah,
And so unless I understood, we understand that it's cat equals death. So imagine this is like a really, big example, but this is what occurs with us with everything that we're going through,
right, right.
and it leaves its imprint, its
That's the
mark.
past trauma imprints for sure. In your work, how often do physical illnesses or injuries carry some kind of emotional root?
Well, actually, yes. So, your the cries, your body's cries, right, are the messages of your soul. So it's like something is off, right? It's when our mind suffers, our body suffers. When our body suffers, our mind suffers, and that impacts our spirit, right? Our soul, our spirit.
Mind, body, spirit.
Mind, body, spirit. So you always want to keep the spirit light, and with light, and so yeah.
Okay. Well, there's just so many people out there with traumas, and I know, you always hear, and it's, you have these emotional injuries when you're young, and it just keeps, it depends on how you're going to channel it, how you're going to fix it, but it happens at a young age, and you just see it expanding and manifesting in so many different ways as you get older. And then at this point in time, you're 30 years old, 40, 50, 60, whatever, and here's this attribute or negative attribute characteristic that you have, and you trace it back to, where did this come from? And that's what you do. You look back, and so much of this is harbored in the unconscious mind that we're not even aware of it. And you have to uncover that, like pulling the sheets back, right? That's what you're doing.
Yes, the
It's like,
root
here it
cause.
is. Yeah, the root
The
cause.
root cause. And then, perfectly said, Garth. And then, so root cause. So right there, also in my head, when I was building all this, I'm thinking, okay, so you cut a flower, it grows back. But if you deroot it, then it never grows back. And
Well, that's the weed, not the flower. You don't,
no,
you
what
don't,
I'm,
yeah,
you
I
know,
understand.
you know what I
got it.
mean. A weed, okay. We don't want to cut, but
Don't pull the root out on a beautiful flower.
but like a flowers that died,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And you cut it so that, but it's okay. But yes, so derooting, and that's really the mindset, and I love it because it's like putting a puzzle together. It's like investigating, and I don't know.
It takes time, a lot of meetings. I mean, how long does it take for you to get a handle of what's going on with somebody? Does it take weeks, months? Is it a 2-hour meeting, therapy session in 30 minutes? I mean,
After one session, I already know what's going on.
Really?
Because my training is to listen to the unconscious mind. So when you tell me something, what I'm hearing behind is what's causing this or that, right? And so actually within an hour and a half, I can tell you what's going on, what's the root cause, and what we can do about it.
you have to be a really great listener. So that's what you are. And you absorb so much energy from people, whether it's negative, I mean, hopefully some positive too, but that must take a toll on you.
No.
No?
Let me tell you why. Because actually what I focus on, okay, is how I can help
Okay.
the people I
I
care
get
for.
that.
And I'm sure that you have, look in your line of work, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
like,
We want to focus on the positive.
you
Right?
want,
Yeah.
and you're focused and, the cutting edge, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, absolutely. So when you focus on how you can help, then I'm just focused on that. So the emotions or how I'm feeling is I'm so happy that I have the opportunity, the privilege, and the honor to be able to help this person.
Well, I get that because, when I was, I told this story before, but I was a trauma surgeon before I was a plastic surgeon.
Yes.
1,000 trauma runs, thousands, and I knew exactly what to do, but I wasn't in charge. I was just doing what everybody told me to do, right? Because I was the intern, second-year resident, third-year resident, fourth-year resident. By the time you get to be chief resident, you're all alone. You're sitting in that room, and you've seen a traumas coming in. You've seen thousands of times, and my mind went blank. I thought, damn, I'm in charge, and there's so much pressure. I thought, this guy's going to die because I can't remember what to do that I've done 1,000 times. And I just sit there, oh, he's going to die, he's going to die. I was just sitting on this there's a little steel bench. And then finally I turned my head around with a different perspective and I said, he's already dead. All you can do is save him. Don't be in pressure because this is just going to be a good story. You're going to make it happen. So don't worry about killing him. Worry about saving him. This is going to be positive. So, I never, ever got nervous after that. And it's just the way I looked at it. So I think the power of how you think and how you really observe and look at things. And if you really feel that, I mean, it's life-changing.
And by the way, it's so key what you just said, if I may.
Perspective.
Exactly what you were sharing a moment ago was how, when you were in the trauma and then you shift your perspective and then, you were never, you never looked at things the same way again, which means that you were never scared and you did an amazing job, right?
Right.
Well, this is the first step of feeling better, of transforming, is to learn how to shift focus on demand. You shift focus because remember, every second we're bombarded, right? Depending on what we focus on is what we attract. And so not only you shift focus, but that also shift your perspective and your perception, right? And as soon as you shift focus, you shift mindset, the world shifts with you.
Event changing.
Everything. And that's...
So how do you make a lot of these are very uncomfortable feelings that we have and a lot of pain involved. How do you make this fun? Because you always talk about it being fun.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Yeah. Well, the first thing always, it's people who work with me, they know that where we're going, it's not just to talk about issues, it's literally to resolve them. And in my method, it's release, resolve, and boost. Okay, in that order. And so I think that sorry, I forgot the question.
We're asking how we make things fun.
How we make things fun.
Yeah.
Yes. So already when
that's what happened. You released, you resolved, and you focused on something else.
Yeah, or
refocus back.
Or it can be a senior moment.
Could be that. But mental. You said mental health can be fun. I mean,
it can be fun, and again, it begins with what is your goal. When people come to see me, they know that what we're working on is for them to get to peak everything, right? And so, I understand people sometimes love going and speaking and staying in the emotions and working on the emotions for months and years. And I understand for some that fits. But sometimes we don't have the time, we don't have the luxury, and we really need some fast action. And so in that case, we do the release, we build, but then the fun part is building on that new foundation to get to peak everything, which means that you will get there because that's the work that you're doing. The work that you're doing is about transforming, evolving through transformation. It's about learning, understanding how your brain functions and how to use it.
For somebody who feels stuck in their relationship or in their career or a point guard in the NBA or somebody in relationships well-being, what's your very first step that you recommend if they feel stuck?
First of all, create movement.
Yeah, create movement.
I mean, it's like add some fresh water to that pond, you know?
Yeah.
And in order to do that, again, it's about shifting. It's about looking
focus.
at things. Perception is everything. I mean, because when we go back to the 22 billion bits, right? So let's say the 127 bits every second that we retain, then it becomes
I'm not getting 127, by the way. I'm getting about 7, I think.
Oh, Garth. Then after that, the 127 bits every second, that builds our internal representation, meaning our perception.
Mapping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which then influences your emotional being, influences your physiological being, and all
everything.
of that creates the behavior. Yes. Yeah. So in order to feel better, it's really to transform your perception. Okay. And in order to transform your perception, well, it's through special, particular techniques and releasing at the unconscious level.
Okay. Your mission includes democratizing access to mental health and simplifying the brain's complexity. Why is making this knowledge widely accessible important to you? I think there's an obvious reason there, but
no, yeah. So what I'm really hoping is that we can start this neuro training when in schools from the age of reason, 7 years old. I raised my 2 daughters as neuro babies. with the mindset and all of that. And I mean, they have issues. Everybody has issues, and but when I saw how easier and the tools and resources they had compared to their friends, so I started helping their friends as well and all that. And I just think that the brain, I mean, our unconscious mind basically controls everything. I mean, it runs our body. That it makes our heart beat. It makes your eyelids flutter. It's so incredible, um, and it's the full force. So imagine giving, but the brain is the least studied thing. It's like the brain. There is this stigma. Oh, it's so complicated and complex and difficult. Okay, yes. However, how about understanding it, and working with it? Having knowledge is power. Okay. And I really believe that by integrating neuro training in school, it's really going to help shape generations where they will never have to we my our ancestors, I mean, where we come from, different generations, and look at now how fast generations evolve. I mean, how fast it
Oh, it's
goes.
time to look at the whole curriculum and change it. I think, and maybe change it in the right way. There's been some turns I haven't agreed with, but the whole thing needs to look at. I think, my opinion, to be
Yes,
look at it a little bit more
agreed.
carefully and change. Where do you see the future of peak performance and neuroscience heading in the next decade, or where do you see that as?
Okay, so first of all, there is AI. So I'm working right now on. I've always technology was not there, but for the past 30 years, what I've always wanted, and that's how I work with my clients, which is we have sessions, and outside of sessions, I'm available. That's the neuro training. Neuro training is really to address to transform habits and patterns. Because when you release something at the unconscious level with the exercises that I create, then it's instantaneous. But then for 21 days, it takes 21 days to pick up a new habit or let go of another one. For 21 days, it's monitoring to make sure that patterns and habits are transformed as well.
21 days is an important number. That's a
It's,
nice landmark.
you
So,
know,
so what do you do with an athlete that comes in and he's like not shooting a high percentage shots on the basketball court, and he's wanting to find what's wrong? He wants peak performance. How do you guide him?
Oh, well, first of all, I asked for his history. You know how important history down, right? I mean, history is key with what we do. Okay, so take his history down. While anyone gives me their histories, I'm gonna hear every single thing that needs to be worked on at that time because of the words or what have you. So then I just address that, and then he starts or she
Rebuilding,
starts
reboosting.
rebuilding. So that's releasing, but then it's resolving the issues also, and then boost. So then it's you on steroids, but you at peak, right? So
Right. So you talked about peak performance, peak well-being, peak abundance. What does peak abundance mean to you personally?
peak abundance in every area of your life. You have 6 areas of your life: business, relationship, family, health and fitness, personal growth, and spirituality. And so, mastering inner peace, it's to no longer give the power to anyone or anything to affect you in a negative way. Peak empowerment is to know who you are, accept who you are, and own it. Peak, all that, right? So we go through all this, and that's peak abundance is when you reach those peak, right? So, and the combination, then you will bring abundance because there is no more. And the work that we do, once you do this work, we rewire your brain, which we redesign the neural pathways, the synapses, right? Neurons, right? So you've got two lines and the synapses. And so inside our synapse, we've got all the negative emotions, anger, fear, sadness, and all that. So the releasing is actually what I call the spring cleaning of your synapses.
Right. It's important to rewire the way we think, the way we behave, or the way we react. And so this is more of a conscious way that you're trying to change people, where it seeks into their, and that's their unconscious, and it's more automatic now. Yeah,
Yes.
because you have to change that.
Yes, and also, the power of transformation. I've also learned that you can transform poison into elixir, a negative into a positive, and it
I believe
begins,
that.
always begins with shifting focus, learning how to shift focus on demand, learning how to, shift the mindset, shift perception and perspective.
Let's go to a lightning round here. I do a lightning round sometimes. Quick answers.
Yes.
Okay. One word that describes how you want people to feel after working with you.
Empowered.
That's great. If you could teach everyone one simple brain hack in 60 seconds, what would it be?
A brain hack. State everything in the positive.
Okay.
And you will see when you state everything in the positive, that's when you can, being positive every day difficult. However, stating, because our unconscious mind never processes negation. So when you say I don't want, I don't like, I don't desire, and you use the not, then your unconscious mind hears the opposite. I like, I want, I desire. So you start like that's.
Okay.
That's a brain
That's a
hack.
good point. That's a good one. What's the most surprising place? This may take some time for you. What's the most surprising place or situation you've had a breakthrough insight with a client? I know if somebody asked me that, I'd have to think through so many. It'd take me a while, so that may not be a
This
fast
is
one.
a great question. I've got. Can you repeat the question, please?
What is the most surprising place or situation you've had a breakthrough insight with a client? Marines?
Huh?
What, the
Yeah,
Marines? The Marines?
I'm getting goosebumps.
The Marines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember you told me something about.
Yes, the Marines.
Coffee, meditation, or movement. What's your personal ritual to reset your brain fast?
Movement.
Movement. Okay. Excuse me. If people take away just one lesson from your life's work, what should it be?
Dream.
Dream. And dream
Believe,
big.
believe, and also it's okay to think outside the box.
Yeah.
It's your prerogative. People like it, they don't like it. It's up to them. But there.
So let's again tell the listeners how they can find you, how they can reach you.
Of course. So you can reach me through my website. It's called Revolution. And
I want to spell that out. REVOL dash YOU dash TION. Okay.
Thank you.
So they can find you there.
Yes. And also there is my email there, and all you got to do is fill out the form and email me, and I will, with your phone number, and I'll text you, I'll reach out to you. Because right now also what I'm going to start doing is I want people to start calling in. I'm going to have like some sort of podcast. Or I don't know exactly, right? But anyway, I would like people to call in and share their issues. And within 10 minutes listening, I can already help. And so that's
that'll be
great.
good.
I remember Dr. Roosevelt-Steimer.
That'll
She
be
used to
good.
do this with sexology, She was...
Fascinating. I never called in, though.
Me.
So we've been here with Florence St Cricq, who's a peak performance expert and a neuroscience coach. And it's been such a pleasure having you. And if you haven't listened to the entire show, you want to reach or see the entire show, listen to the entire show, you can go to my personal Instagram, which is Garth Fisher, MD Cutting Edge, and see the entire thing. But it's been a pleasure talking with you. And I just want to thank KCBS Odyssey, our sponsors, Cal and Mike, our producers, the Cutting Edge team, and of course you, our listeners. Thank you very much for listening to this. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you for having me, Garth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.